Alex had been staring for exactly 47 seconds, not that he was counting. The observation deck of the Meridian offered a panoramic view of the Andromeda relay station, but his eyes weren't on the swirling nebulae or the geometric perfection of the alien construct. They were fixed on Rose, except Rose wasn't entirely Rose anymore. 3 days ago, she'd been human. Entirely, wonderfully, frustratingly human. His mission partner, the xenobiologist who'd volunteered for first contact with the Kethria species that communicated not through words but through biological symbiosis. The mission parameters were clear: temporary merging, information exchange, peaceful separation, humanity's chance to prove they could evolve beyond their isolated corner of the galaxy. The parameters hadn't mentioned was how the process would change her Rose's new form rippled with bioluminescent patterns that cascaded across her skin like living auroras. Her limbs had elongated, gaining an extra joint that made her movements fluid and almost hypnotic. Translucent membranes extended from her shoulders, not quite wings, but something that caught the station's artificial light and refracted it into impossible colors. Her eyes, once brown and warm, now held depths that seemed to contain entire star systems. She was beautiful, terrifying, alien, and she'd caught him staring. "So, you like my body?" Rose's voice still carried her characteristic warmth, though it now harmonized with an underlying resonance that made Alex's spine tingle. She turned from the viewport, those cosmic eyes fixed on him with an expression that might have been amusement. Alex felt heat rise to his face. I mean, the transformation is remarkable from a scientific." Alex glided closer, her movements too smooth, too perfect. "We've known each other for 3 years. You can be honest." He swallowed hard. The truth was complicated. Humanity had sent 20 diplomatic missions to 20 different species over the past decade. 19 had ended in cultural misunderstandings, near wars, or mutual disgust. Earth was running out of chances to prove itself worthy of joining the Galactic Assembly. The Kethray had offered something different, understanding through unity, but the process required trust that went beyond treaties and trade agreements. It required someone willing to become something other than human, at least temporarily. Rose had volunteered without hesitation. "I'm terrified," Alex admitted finally. "The Kethray Council convenes in 6 hours. If this merger didn't work, if you can't translate their neural patterns into something we can understand, then humanity remains isolated." Rose finished. She reached out, and Alex flinched involuntarily. Her hand now tipped with elegant, crystalline finger stopped centimeters from his face. The hurt in her expression was achingly familiar. "I'm still me, Alex. That's what makes this work." The question bursts out of him. "You're sharing consciousness with an entity that processes reality in 17 dimensions. Your DNA is rewriting itself in real. How can you still be you?" Rose's luminescent patterns pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. "Because being human isn't about the shape of our bodies or the configuration of our atoms. But Kethri taught me that in the first hour of merging." She placed her crystalline hand against the view, and where she touched, the smart glass suddenly displayed something impossible, a visualization of thought itself, flowing in colors that had no names in any human language. "Look," she said softly, "this is how the Kethray see the universe. Everything connected, everything in flux, nothing truly separate." The colors swirled and merged. "Beautiful, right? Perfect harmony. But you know what I showed them?" Alex shook his head, mesmerized. The display shifted. Suddenly, amidst the flowing patterns, distinct points of light emerged. Each one burned with fierce independence, connected to others not by inevitable fusion but by choice. They formed constellations of cooperation while maintaining their essential separateness. "I showed them this," Rose said. "Humans imperfect, isolated, stubbornly individual. We don't merge, we build bridges. We don't blend, we collaborate while staying ourselves. They've existed for 17 million years in perfect unity, but they'd forgotten something crucial, that choosing to connect is more powerful than being born connected." Rose turned to face him fully, and Alex saw tears tracking down her transformed face. "Still saltwater, still purely human. I'm walking proof, Alex. I've touched an alien consciousness older than our entire species, and I haven't lost myself. I've expanded myself. That's the human gift. We don't dissolve in the presence of the other, we encompass it." Alex stared at her, understanding dawning. "The Kethray haven't just been studying our biology, ... They've been studying our adaptability," Rose confirmed. "Our insane, reckless willingness to change without losing our core. Every species in the assembly achieves space travel through collective consciousness or hive minds or genetic memory. We're the only ones who did it while arguing with each other the entire way." She laughed, and it sounded like wind chimes and engine roars combined. Where chaos they can't predict and order they can't comprehend, all wrapped up in stubborn, beautiful contradictions. Alex finally closed the distance between them, taking her crystalline hand in his merely human one. When you separate, if I separate, Rose corrected gently, the Kethray offered me a choice. I can return to my original form, or I can remain as the first hybrid. The first bridge. What will you choose? Those star-filled eyes met his. What do you think humans always choose, Alex? He smiled despite his tears. The hard way. The way that means we can help both sides understand each other exactly. Rose's bioluminescent patterns flared bright. I'm going to be so uncomfortable at diplomatic functions. Alex laughed, genuine, surprised, relieved. You're going to be spectacular. 6 hours later, Rose stood before the Kethray Council, a living testament to humanity's greatest strength, the ability to become something new without forgetting what they were. And when she spoke in harmonics that bridged human vocal cords and Kethray resonance, the galaxy finally understood what Earth had been trying to prove all along. Humanity belonged among the stars, not despite their differences, but because they could embrace transformation while remaining defiantly, gloriously themselves.